All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to optimize your designs for different devices. So we're going to make sure that our website and our pages look good on both tablet and mobile view, not just on desktop. All right, so let's have a quick look at our design. This is what we've got. Yeah, it's not great, but I'm not a designer, so I've done my best. But if we scroll through this, we can see what it looks like. And then when we go and check it out on our other devices, we can see what is and isn't working. So let's have a look at our tablet view. And this is what it looks like so far. It's not too bad. There's a couple of things that could be fixed up a little bit, I think. So I'll go through those a little bit better in just a minute. And let's have a look at our mobile view. This is generally where we have a lot of our issues. So let's have a look. It's looking okay. It's not too bad, actually. All right. No, there's a few things that definitely need some help. So let's get into it. All right. So before we get started, what I want to note is that any changes we make to our desktop view, those changes are going to bleed down to our tablet and our mobile view. But any changes I make to my mobile view are not going to bleed up to my tablet or desktop view. So all the changes we make generally bleed down into the mobile view. They don't go back up. It's like a waterfall. And the same goes for your tablet. Any changes I make to the tablet design are not going to affect the desktop design, but they can affect the mobile. So let's start here with our tablet design and start optimizing from here. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So the first issue we have here is this image is higher up than the text, and I'm not terribly fond of that. So what I'm actually going to do is try and fix this at a desktop level. Ideally, what you want to do is design your desktop design to be as optimized as possible for your mobile devices so that when you get to this part of the design process, you don't actually have to go through and make a huge amount of changes. So ideally, we want to design our website with our other devices in mind. So this is a good example. I've put this image here and I've gone and center aligned this text so that it's in line with the image here on my desktop view, but the image isn't center aligned in its container. So I can come here and I want to come to the column that it's in, and you'll see that it's justified to the start. So I'm going to go ahead and center align that. So when I come to my tablet view, you'll see now that that has been center aligned, and that looks quite a lot better. Now we have a bit of a similar problem here with this design. Everything is not quite aligned. And ideally, I would like to have my headings all be in one line. Let me check what that looks like on our desktop view. So yeah, everything here is aligned except for this. I've made the spacer a bit too big. So let's go ahead and make that smaller so that it is in line. All right, now I'm going to come to my tablet view, and changing that spacer on my desktop has made a bit of a problem for me over here on my tablet. But let's start by just trying to fix a few things. The first thing is that I would like this heading to be a bit smaller so that these do fit on one line. So instead of just changing that here, what I'm going to do is come to my styles, and I'm going to come to my base brand fonts, and this is a heading 4. And it's currently set to 19. So I'm going to go ahead and try, let's say 17. That's a little bit better. Let's try 16. All right. I think we might be getting a bit small by going to 15, but I still think that looks okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And now you might be a little bit worried having changed a core style here in your tablet view, but when I come here to my desktop and I come to that heading 4, you'll see that it's still set to 19. So every time you adjust a style in a different view type, it's going to apply that simply to that device or lower. So this will apply to my mobile view as well. All right, so let's come back to our tablet view and continue customizing this. So I clearly have a bit of a problem here with the alignment. If I come to this spacer and I increase it just to make sure that things are aligned, if I come back to my desktop view, you'll see that that hasn't changed my spacer here, but it's allowed me to create a more aligned view here in my tablet view. The problem is that here we're going to have a bit more of a problem. You'll see that this isn't even showing up, it's only showing the 3. So we're going to have to like dig into this and see what's going on, but we'll get back to that in a minute. All right, so let's come back here. And I think this all looks quite good. I think the only thing is that I would like this to be pushed in a little bit more because it's feeling a little bit too close to the side. So I'm going to come here to the container, and what I want to do is just go ahead and create a little bit of a gap. So let's go ahead and come here to our space. We're going to add a margin, but just to the left side. And we're going to push it in about that much. That, I think, looks a bit better. If I come to my desktop view, I don't need to do anything like that. I could change it over here if I wanted it to be a bit closer, if I'm feeling that that's a little bit too spacious, but I think it's okay. You know what? Actually, I think I'm going to change it. I think, yeah, we're going to change it a little bit. We're going to change that margin back to 0. And by clicking on that little link, I'm going to get into it again, but that is allowing me to inherit the design from the parent. So in this case, our desktop design is the parent. So I'm going to come to my desktop design, and I do actually feel like this is a bit far. So I'm going to come here to my margin again. I'm going to edit, and I'm just going to edit that left-hand side margin, and we're going to push it in about 30 pixels. All right. Now it's not looking so lonely. What I could do as well is actually just go to the container holding all of this and put a margin on both sides so that that information is pushed in together. But I think this is okay. So now when I come to my tablet view, that looks a lot better. All right, so I'm happy with the way that that looks. Let's have a scroll down over here. So I want to make sure that all of my headings and everything are inheriting. And if I do make a change to this heading, let's say I go ahead and I say, no, I want this to be a heading 2, I'm going to bring your attention back to that link. I don't actually think this looks good. I do think that the heading 1 looked a lot better. So if I want to reinstate that style choice, I'm going to click on this little link that says inherit from desktop. Anytime you see this link next to a design option, it means that it is currently not inheriting, and instead it has its own custom design applied over here. So I'm going to go ahead and say inherit. This, I think, all looks pretty good, so I don't need to change anything there. This, I think, could be fixed up a little bit. Again, I can come here to my desktop view, and I can come here to the container for this, or the row, and I can add a little bit of padding. So let's edit that, and let's add some padding to the left and to the right. And now when I come to my mobile view, I think that looks quite a lot better. It's not squished out to the sides. We've got a little bit of space. All right, then we've got this. That looks okay. I'm not thrilled with it, but I don't hate it either. And then we have our footer over here, and I think that looks okay. I do have one problem with my footer though, and that is that this is not center aligned and everything else is. So as we know that this is a component, so I'm going to click on this, I'm going to edit that component, and I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that all of this is center aligned. It doesn't want to center align everything, so let's just select it all, make sure it's center aligned. Put everything to the left, everything to center. Oh, there's text there that I can't see because it's a link and it's in the same color as my background. So that's why it doesn't look good to me. So we're going to go ahead and actually adjust the background. So let's, not the column, actually want the block itself. Let's edit that background and change the opacity. Fantastic. Okay, that was bothering me. All right, so that's been updated and it will be updated everywhere else. Okay, so this is looking good. I'm quite happy with it. So let's have a look at our mobile view. I'm not thrilled with this. So this could be cute over here, but I think it's just not working. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and change the style type for heading 1 on our mobile view. So I'm going to come here to heading 1, and I'm going to make it a bit smaller. Let's say 50. I think it could be smaller. Let's say 49. 45. What about just good old 40? I think that looks good. All right, so we have now changed our heading type. And again, you'll notice that link here. So it's in the styles. This is not inheriting from desktop. This is simply inherit. This has now got its own design type, and it's not going to affect any of the other designs. All right, so this looks okay. We can scroll along. This block could probably be a bit smaller on mobile. So I'm going to change the minimum height, and I'm going to make it about that size. That looks a little bit better, because then we can see that we've got some information here. But now the thing that I'm not enjoying about this is that we've got an image here and then another image, and I kind of want to swap that around. I want to have the image after the text. So I'm just going to come to my navigator, and I'm going to go to my layers, and I'm going to select this block, then into that container and into the row. And now to reverse the order of the content in this row, what I'm going to do is come here to layout, hit that plus icon, and I'm going to say reverse. And then I want to say, yes, I want that to be reversed. So now I've got my little hero section, nice little image break, and then text and our dog. If I come here to my desktop view, it's not going to have changed. So everything is still in order. It just looks a little bit neater and a little bit better on mobile view. All right, let's come here to this mess. I'm not sure what's going on here. So let's have a look. We've got rows and 3 columns, and that is correct. So something is a little bit off. So I want to come here to the block itself, and I'm going to scroll down so I can actually see what's happening in here. I have a container over here that I don't need. So I think this container can be deleted. I just want to make sure that I know where that is or what it is over here. All right, that container is doing absolutely nothing. So we can actually just go ahead and delete it. Now, the reason that I wanted to make sure that this container wasn't doing anything up here on the desktop view is, well, let me go ahead and undo that. So we've got our container. If I come here to my mobile view and I decide that I want to delete this container, and I come up here to my desktop view, that container is gone. That's because it's a structural element. So if you delete a structural element in any of our views, then you're going to delete it on all of them. Instead, if you don't want a structural element to show on a particular view, you're going to change the visibility settings. So if I come here and I say undo again, and I come here to my mobile view, and I click on this container, I can come down here and I can change the visibility settings. So currently it's visible, I can say no. And that's going to essentially work the same as deleting it on mobile view, but it's not going to delete it on any of our other views. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that yes, it's visible, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it because it's not serving any purpose. All right, so we've got a few problems here. And I want to go ahead and make sure that these are not going to continue to be problems. So our first problem is obviously that, well, we can't see the whole thing. So something is wrong, I think, in our block settings over here. So we're going to come here to size, and we're going to make it as big as we can. But I think the problem is actually in the container settings for the container that is holding this content here. So I'm going to come to this specific container, and I'm just going to have a look at the settings over here. They're currently set to fill parent. I'm going to hug the content instead. There we go. All right, so that has fixed our problem. Over here, it's still going to be filling the parent, and that is because of the sizing issues that we were having previously. So that hasn't changed here, but it's changed the way it shows up on mobile. I'm also going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the spacer. I want to check and make sure the spacer is the same size. So this is also then going to be 35. Again, that won't have made any changes to my other views either. Those spaces are going to maintain their size. All right, and lastly, I do want to move this stuff in. And the reason I'm making these changes now specifically to the mobile view is because I don't actually want to change the design on my other two devices. I just want it to look a little bit better here on mobile view. So what I'm going to do is come to this container and we're going to add a little bit of padding. So let's come down here. We've got no margins and we've got some padding, but I want to go ahead and change this. I want to make sure that we've got a little bit on the right and a little bit on the left. Something else I might want to do with these items is center align it because it's on mobile view. But I think for right now, I'm quite happy with it as it is. I'm going to edit this, give it some space on the left and on the right. All right, that's looking a little bit better. I do want to go ahead and see if I want to center align this. So I'm just going to scroll up here and, well, let's see. Okay, let's center align everything. Text, center align, and also our heading over here, we're going to center align that. I'm going to consider for a moment if I prefer that, and I think I do. But we have a bit of a problem here because there is padding, and I want to go ahead and remove that padding from this container. So we're going to go ahead, change that padding. The padding isn't the problem, it's the margins, right? So let's have a look. Oh, right, this text is held in a different container. So we're going to go ahead and edit that and make it 0. That was just on the top and the bottom though. So this is being pushed off to the side a bit, and I want to find out where that is. Here, a container. There we go. No, okay, it's not in that container. How many containers do we have? There we go, it's that one. All right, so now that is fixed. So I do think that that looks a little bit better, so I'm going to go ahead and center align everything. Just for the mobile view. I think I could be wrong. Again, not a designer. There might be a designer out there thinking, what are you doing? But to me, I think this just looks a little bit better on the mobile view. There we go. All right, so now we've got that sorted and we can move on to our next block. This How It Works block is a bit of a mess. So we're going to need to fix this a lot. First problem is obviously our video. Our video is not looking very nice over here. So we're going to have to change it a little bit. And let's come here to the size. It's currently got a max width of 52. So let's just go ahead and make that as big as we can. Already much better. We can also go ahead and change this. It is a heading 1, but maybe I want to make it a heading 2, just so it looks a little bit neater. Then we've got our 1, 2, and 3 off to the center. So let's fix this a little bit. And I think this is something that we're going to have to fix higher up. So currently it's not a problem here, and it's not a problem over here. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video. It's very cute, but we don't need it playing all the time. But the problem we're having is that everything is not correctly aligned over here. So what I'm going to do is come here to the desktop view, and I want to go ahead and find out where that spacing problem is. So let's go ahead and select the correct one. All right, here we are. So we've got this container, and let's check the spacing in this container. All right, we've got mixed margin and mixed padding. So I'm going to go ahead and set it all to 0. I'm going to do the same for this one. Let's have a look at this container. Let's set it all to 0. And the same for this one. 0, 0. Okay, so that's all zeroed out. I want to go ahead and check on this design. Okay, so it's still not fixed. There's a bigger problem. And if I look here, there was a container that I just hovered over, So this one, we've got the container there. Let's just find where we are again. There we go. This container got a bit of a problem. All right, and there is our problem. You see we've got this link over here. It's not inheriting from global. So I'm going to inherit from global, and I'm going to do the same for this one. All right, now it's all inheriting from global. It looks a bit bad. So we're going to come back up to our desktop view. And this time I'm going to go to the column and I'm going to go to the row. And what I'm going to do is put a little bit of a gap. So we're going to put a bit of a gap. And that looks okay. Let's maybe do a little bit more. Okay. And then I'm going to put some padding on the outside. So we're going to put some padding on the right, let's say 20, and on the left 20. Okay, so that doesn't look bad over here, but it looks better over here. That looks so much better. So that is again another example of us using the top-down design to make sure that we don't have to do too much work lower down. I suppose this gap is a bit big, so I'm going to click on this row, make that gap a little bit smaller, and then just add a little bit more padding, I think, to the outside. So let's go ahead, come back to our padding, edit that, and let's make this 30. All right, let's check what that looks like on our mobile view. That looks better. And I do want to go ahead and check on my tablet view, see how that has changed the design here. I think it looks okay. So now that that is done, we can have a look at the next one. I actually think this looks fine, so we don't have to do anything there. This could be a little bit better. So instead of a heading 1, let's maybe make it a heading 2. That looks a little bit better, I suppose. And then we've got a massive issue over here. This does not look good at all. Now, you're going to panic again. Heather, if I make changes to the global block over here, is that not going to affect the components across my website and across my devices? Well, no. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to edit the component. So one of the things that we want to make sure is happening in this design is making sure that things are not actually horizontally aligned. But you'll see here in my block settings, it's already set to vertical. So why is it horizontal? Well, we're going to have to dig a little bit. So let's come to our container. That is set to vertical. There's our problem. It's in our row. So we want to change this layout to be vertical. And that problem is solved. Quick sticks. So we can now exit that. And when we scroll down, you'll see that that looks the way it looks. But if I come here to my tablet view, it's not changed. And if I come to my desktop view, it's not changed. And what's interesting is that clearly I didn't make any changes to the desktop version of this footer, because if I look over here, that's a different color entirely. So that is just another example of how changing the design for your components on different devices doesn't bleed upwards. It will stick to the specific device that you have set it for. So I'm going to go ahead and just change that component here as well, and just change the background color. All right, then I'm going to exit out of there. All right, so that is how you can optimize your designs for different devices. And once you've made all those changes, don't forget to publish. And that's going to publish all of the different changes that we have made to all of our different views and different pages. All right, in the next video, I'm going to show you how to customize your layouts. I'll see you there.